On the last morning of Mullins Hardware, Grace found the receipt that proved her nephew had been telling the truth for 15 years. It slipped out from behind the old cash drawer when she pulled the register forward to clean the counter. The paper was thin and curled, yellowed at the edges, with numbers faded almost to ghosts. But Grace knew what it was before she read it. She had known for years. Outside, rain pressed against the front windows of the shop. The river, 2 blocks away, had turned brown and restless overnight. Inside, the shelves were half empty. Only odd things remained. Brass hinges, a cracked level, to snow shovels no one needed in July, and a row of key blanks. At noon, Mullins Hardware would close for good. Grace had told everyone she was ready. She had said it with the calm voice people expected from her. After 30 years behind the counter, she could price a washer by touch. Her father had opened the store in 1968, and Grace had protected it like a second body. But the store had also protected her. It had given her aisles to straighten whenever she did not want to think. It had given her invoices to file whenever shame came too close. And now, in her hand, was the one piece of paper she had never been brave enough to face. The bell above the front door rang dot. Grace folded the receipt once, fast, and slipped it into her apron pocket. Caleb stepped inside with rain on his shoulders and a little girl beside him. For a second, Grace saw him at 17, tall and skinny, carrying lumber scraps home because he believed every piece of wood could become something. Then the present returned. Caleb was 32 now, with a carpenter's hands and the careful politeness of a man who no longer expected warmth here. "Morning, Aunt Grace," he said. She had not heard him call her that in years. "Morning." Caleb, the girl beside him, looked around with bright interest. "Is this the place with the drawers of screws?" Caleb's mouth softened. "It used to be. You must be Lily," Grace said. The girl nodded. "Dad said we could buy a toolbox before we move." Move. Grace kept her hand against her apron pocket. "Where to?" "Asheville," Caleb said. "I start with the restoration crew Monday. That's good work." "It is," the words sat between them, clean and empty. Grace walked to the back shelf and lifted down a small steel toolbox, blue with a silver latch. Caleb reached for his wallet, but Grace shook her head. "Take it." Caleb's face changed almost nothing. "I'd rather pay." Of course he would. Grace felt the old heat of shame rise up her neck. 15 years earlier, Caleb had worked summer afternoons at the store. He swept floors, stocked bolts, and listened to Grace's father tell old customer stories. Caleb loved the place. He used to say the store smelled like sawdust and answers. Then one Friday, the register came up short. $312. Grace had been exhausted. Her father was beginning to forget things. Bills were late. Caleb had asked that week for extra hours because he wanted to buy used tools from a retiring carpenter. Grace put those facts together and called it truth. She confronted him in front of Mr. Hanley, Mrs. Price, and 2 men from the plumbing crew. "A store only works if people can trust the person behind the counter," she had said. Caleb went white. "I didn't take anything." Grace remembered his voice. Not loud, not angry, just cracked. She told him to empty his backpack. He did. There was a sandwich, a tape measure, and a library book about cabinet making. No money still. Grace sent him home by Monday. Half the town knew. 3 years later, when the register was replaced, a repairman found the receipt jammed behind the cash drawer. It showed an accidental duplicate cash payout, voided but never recorded correctly. The missing money had never been missing. Grace held the proof in her hand that day and felt relief so sharp it almost looked like pain. Then she imagined calling Caleb. She imagined saying, "I ruined your name because I was scared." She imagined the silence after, so she put the receipt in a folder, then in a drawer, then back near the register, as if keeping it close was the same as making it right. Now Caleb stood in front of her with his daughter, and Grace could feel the old paper against her hip like a small, burning coal. Lily ran her fingers along the rows of key blanks. "Dad, why didn't we come here before?" Caleb looked at Grace, then at the keys. It was complicated. Children did not like that kind of answer. "But she is family," Lily said. The rain filled the silence. Grace wanted Caleb to help her. She wanted him to say it was long ago. She wanted him to make the moment smaller than it was. Instead, he picked up the blue toolbox and checked the latch. "Still sticks on the left," he said. "I can oil it. I can fix it." There it was. A boundary so quiet it almost sounded like manners. At 11, people began arriving for the closing sale. Old customers came in shaking umbrellas, touching shelves, telling stories about Grace's father. Someone brought cookies. Someone else took photos of the sign above the door. Grace smiled when she was supposed to. She wrapped the last brass hinges in newspaper. She answered questions about what would happen to the building. But every few minutes, her eyes found Caleb. He stood near the back with Lily, showing her how to test whether a level was true. Mrs. Price, older now, and leaning on a cane, stopped beside Grace. "Nice to see Caleb in here again," she said. "After all that business, I wondered if he ever would." "All that business." Grace looked at the woman who had heard the accusation 15 years ago and repeated it at church, at the diner, at the post office. Grace had blamed people for talking, but she had given them the words. That was the midpoint of the morning, not the receipt, not Caleb's distance. This, the truth, had not stayed private just because. Grace's shame had at 11:45. The room quieted as Mr. Hanley tapped a spoon against a coffee mug. Speech, someone called Grace had planned to thank everyone for 30 good years. She had planned to mention her father. She had planned to close with something simple about small towns and loyal customers. Her fingers touched the receipt in her pocket. She looked at Caleb. He was helping Lily zip her raincoat. In 15 minutes, he could walk out of the store with the same lie still living in other people's memories. Grace stepped behind the counter. "I do need to say thank you," she began. "But first, I need to correct something." The room shifted. People felt confession before they understood it. Grace unfolded the receipt. Her hands shook enough that the paper made a small, dry sound. 15 years ago, money appeared to be missing from this register. I accused my nephew Caleb of taking it. Caleb went still. Grace made herself continue. "I accused him in this store, in front of some of you. He said he did not take it. He was telling the truth. No one moved. The register was wrong. A cash payout had been voided incorrectly. I found proof years ago." Mrs. Price covered her mouth. Grace looked at Caleb then. She did not ask him to rescue her. She did not soften the sentence. "I knew he was innocent, and I was ashamed. So I stayed quiet. That silence was mine. The damage it caused was mine. Caleb did not steal from this store." The rain hit the windows harder. Caleb's face had gone pale, but his eyes stayed on her. Grace placed the receipt on the counter. I once said a store only works if people can trust the person behind the counter. I was right about the trust. I was wrong about the person who broke it. For a long moment, the old hardware store held its breath. Then Caleb walked forward. He picked up the receipt and looked at the faded numbers. You had this for years. Yes, and you let me carry it. Grace's throat tightened. Yes, Lily slipped her hand into Caleb's. Grace said, I'm sorry. Not because the store is closing, not because you're leaving, because I should have said it when the truth first found me. Caleb folded the receipt carefully. I don't know what to do with this yet, he said. You don't have to. He looked around the store. I spent a long time thinking I had to become so honest no one could question me again. Grace nodded. You were already honest. His jaw tightened. For a second, she saw the 17-year-old boy with the backpack on the counter. Then Lily lifted the blue toolbox. Dad, the latch still sticks. Caleb looked down at it, and something in his face loosened by one small degree. It does, he said. Grace reached under the counter and took out a tiny bottle of machine oil. She set it beside the toolbox, then stepped back. Caleb studied her for a moment. You can show her, he said. Grace blinked, so she showed Lily how to place one drop at the hinge and work the latch slowly. Caleb watched without smiling, but he did not leave. When the latch clicked cleanly, Lily grinned, fixed. Grace looked at Caleb. Not everything. No, he said. Not everything. But when he picked up the toolbox, he also picked up the oil dot. At the door, he paused. We leave tomorrow morning, he said. Lily likes pancakes. If you want to call Sunday, call after 9. It was not forgiveness. It was not a return to what they had been. It was a door left unlocked. Grace nodded once, because anything more would have broken her voice. After Caleb and Lily stepped into the rain, the store seemed different. Smaller, maybe, emptier, but cleaner in a way dusting could never make it. At noon, Grace turned the sign to closed for the last time. She stood behind the counter where she had once confused fear for certainty and silence for peace. The receipt was gone. The lie was named. The repair was unfinished, but it had finally begun. Sometimes courage is not a grand act. Sometimes it is standing in the room where you were wrong with the people who heard you be wrong, and telling the truth without asking anyone to make it painless, because regret can sit in a drawer for years and still call itself sorrow. But repair begins when you take it out, unfold it, and let the truth cost you what pride was trying to protect. If this story stayed with you, carry its lesson into your own life. And for more stories that help you see life differently, subscribe to Inner Shift.